we are going to be doing a science experiment, and we're going to be using our lovely letters S and F to help us do that. So can everyone, we're going to practice. Put your fingers up, we're going to finger trace. Can everyone make the letter S and say S as you go along? Ready? Okay, number 2. Okay, number 3, here we go. All right, now we're going to do the letter F. Can everyone say for me? Okay, we're going to do the letter F, finger trace, and then say. Okay, number 2, ready, go. And last one. Great job. So today we're going to be talking about sink versus float. Can anyone with a first grade raised hand tell me what sink means? What they think sink means, Javion?
That means they sink to the bottom.
Sinks to the bottom. You're so right. Can anyone tell me what they think float means with a quiet raised hand? Remy.
It means it's at the top.
It stays at the top, right? Okay, so we're gonna watch a little video to get us started about sinking and floating.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna write on our poster together.
When they're in the water, some things sink right to the bottom, while other things float on the top. Why does that happen? Well, I brought some friends to see if we can figure that out.
Hi everyone, my name's Webb, and
Hi, I'm his sister Phil. Since we live in a pond, we see a lot of things sink.
a lot of things float.
I bet! You know, you can actually learn a lot about something by seeing what it does in the water. So I'd say this calls for an experiment. First, we'll need a pretty big container of water. We'll fill it about 3/4 full and set it up where it's okay if some splashes out. Now we need some stuff to put in the water.
All kinds of different stuff.
We're going to look for a couple things around the fort that are okay to get wet. If you want to try this experiment at home, make sure you ask before you put anything from your house into the water. Let's see what we found. All right, Squeaks found a penny. I found a stick. And Bill and Webb, they found 2 different spoons, a metal one and a plastic one. Good job, guys. Now, before we get started, let's take a closer look at what we'll be testing. All of these things are made out of different materials, like metal, plastic, and wood. Some of them are pretty small, and some are a little bit bigger. I think we have a pretty good group of objects because they're all pretty different. Now, before we start putting things in the water, let's guess whether each one will sink or float.
No.
And let's keep track of our guesses. But how will we sit? Great idea,
Okay.
Squeak. We'll use it.
We are going to transition over here, and you guys are going to help me guess or predict. Can anyone tell me what they think predict means? Wyatt?
Predict means which one float or which one sink.
Yes, we're gonna guess which one will float and which one's going to sink. So we have sink or float. We have S. What does the letter S make? What sound does it make? And what does the letter F
Like
make? Great job, you guys.
Like S is in my name.
Yes.
And my last name.
Okay, can someone raise their hand, or can we discuss what we think the stick is gonna do? Is it gonna sink or is it gonna float?
Sink.
Sink? We think it's gonna sink?
Yes. It's float.
Or float?
I think float. It's gonna sink. Because wood comes from trees, so wood is heavy.
Oh, so we say sink? Sink? Okay, we're gonna put sink and see if we're right. What about the metal spoon? Jessica?
It's not heavy. It will not sink.
It's not gonna sink. You think it's gonna float?
It's gonna sink.
It's gonna sink?
Sink.
Ooh. Okay, raise your hand if you think it's gonna sink. Let's see how many hands we've got. Oh, we've got a majority. We'll put sink. We'll see if we're right. Okay, what about the plastic spoon? The plastic spoon is going to be a lot lighter than the metal spoon. So what do we think the plastic spoon is going to do?
It actually does.
Is it going to float?
Yeah.
It's going to float? Dakota, what do you think? Float? Okay, we'll put float.
Because plastic.
Okay, now what about a penny? What do we think a penny's gonna do? Sink? Penny is metal, so what do we think a penny is gonna do? Sink, baby?
It's all go underwater.
So we're saying sink?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll see. We're gonna go through each letter and we're gonna say their sound again with me. Okay, ready? Letter S. What is this? What is this? Let's try that again. Ready? Okay, now what is this? Great job. Okay, now we're gonna watch our video to see if our predictions were right. And then we're gonna talk about them.
Good job. All right, let's start with the stick. Bill, what do you think? Will it sink or float? I can tell you guys are pretty excited. Tell us what you're thinking.
Well, in the pond where we live, I've never seen sticks that have sunk. Only ones that float.
Well, that's because you haven't seen the ones that have sunk.
Well, that's because they all float, Webb.
Okay, fine. Put me and Bill down for the stick floats.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, what did it do? It's float. So was our prediction correct? No. So we're gonna cross it out, right? And we're gonna put float. What does that letter make? Great job. Okay, next object, we got the metal spoon.
Let's try the metal spoon. What do you think? Will it sink or float?
Well, I've never seen a spoon float.
Me either. We think it'll sink.
Okay.
I'm gonna be right this time.
It
Oh.
sinks.
It's was our prediction right? Yes. Great job.
Great job.
Put a check mark.
Check.
Okay.
What about the
Number 3,
plastic
plastic
spoon?
spoon.
Do you think it will sink or float?
Quack, 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 quack. Well, it's the same shape as the other spoon.
Yeah, and we think it might sink, just like the metal spoon did.
Okay. Let's see.
It's fuel.
It floats.
See, I said
Bummer.
Well, that's okay.
Were we right?
yeah.
All right. You guys are so smart.
I said it.
Okay, last one. Got the
It's
point.
we learn, right?
Yeah, I guess. Just weird. The other spoon sink.
Well, let's record our results and see if we can find out why it sank after we test our next object. Our next object will be the penny. Do you think it will sink or float?
Well, a penny feels a lot like a metal spoon, so I think it'll sink.
All right. And Wes, what do you think?
Well, it's so light, but kind of small, and I don't usually see things that small floating. I'll have to agree with my sister this time. It's gonna sink.
It sinks.
You guys went 3 for 4. Marcus. You guys did great on that. Okay, now we're gonna pay attention and sit like first graders. Can you look like a first grade class for me?
Yeah.
And we are going to watch and see why things sink and why things float.
Plastic spoon and the stick floated. Is there anything that's the same about the things that floated and the things that sank?
Well, we know that the metal thing.
Is there anything the same about the things that floated and things that sunk, Gemma? So let's look at our poster over here. So if we look at the things that sunk, are these both metal or are they plastic?
Yeah.
They're both metal, right? So they're a little bit heavier. And what about these? Are they lighter objects?
Yeah.
The ones that floated?
Yes.
So can anyone tell me what they think about that? Ryan?
Because they're so it float and so it sinks.
So the heavier an object is, it could have a greater chance of sinking, right?
And a stone uses and a lighter.
Okay, so we're gonna watch the rest of our video.
Sank, and the metal spoon feels kind of heavy.
But so did the stick, and the stick floated while the spoon sank. So maybe it's not all about how much something weighs or its shape.
You're right. And that might help us explain why some things float and some things sink. The answer has to do with something called density. Everything, and I mean everything, everything is made of tiny particles that we can't see. And how dense an object is depends on how much space is between those particles.
Particles? Jesse, what the quack is a particle?
Now that's an awesome question. Let's use our imaginations and pretend that particles are marbles. We'll start with a bunch of marbles on the table. If you have the marbles all right next to each other, that's kind of how the particles would look inside an object that's dense, like a metal spoon. But if those marbles were spaced really far apart, that'd be more like what the particles are like in something that's less dense, like the plastic spoon. The metal spoon is more dense than the plastic spoon. It's about the same size and shape, but the particles that make it up are closer together than the particles that make up the plastic one. But remember, everything has density, including water.
What?
It's true! Since water has its own density, if something is more dense than the water is in, it'll sink. The metal spoon and the penny were more dense than the water, so they sank. And the stick and the plastic spoon were less dense than the water, so they floated. So will it sink or will it float? It depends, in part, on density. How did your experiment go?
Did you make some long density?
Okay, so overall it is not about how much something weighs. Since the metal spoon and the penny were more dense than the water density, it sunk to the bottom. But the stick and the plastic spoon were less dense, so it floated at the top. Thumbs up if that made a little bit more sense to you and you had fun with that poster. Okay, now we're gonna get in to our sink or float chart. And I'm going to be watching for that great behavior because I'm going to call on some helpers to help me with this sink or float experiment. Because I've got a tub of water right here that we're going to use to make our own experiment, okay? So while I pass this out, I want you to practice in on that great behavior so I can call some students up to the front to help me.
Pencil sheets.
All you will need is your pencil. I should only see your pencil.
I only got 2 pictures.
I got 2 for you. There we go. Yes.
It's a plastic spoon.
Oh, you already got one.
A leaf.
Here, mine.
Actually, it floats. What do you guys want me to do?
Alright, did I miss anybody? No? Perfect. Alright. We have not written anything on our paper yet. The only thing you could have written is your name. Nothing else is written on that paper yet.
I read on my paper.
I'm still looking for that first grade behavior to call some helpers up. Alright, what is our first object on that paper?
A penny.
A penny. Let's see if I have a penny. Let's see if I have a penny. I've got 3 pennies. So I'm looking for 3 extra great helpers to come help me drop some pennies in the water. But before we do that, do we think the pennies are going to sink or are they going to float? Sink. Okay, so what I want everybody to do is take their paper and we're going to write prediction. What's a prediction again? What's a prediction? I need live hands. What's a prediction? Daniel?
It means
So prediction is our guess, right? Okay, so our guess is sinking. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a big S In sync. What does the letter S make again? What sound? Perfect. Okay, write that S in that sync box.
I already did.
Only in that one box. I should only see that first box filled out.
What box? The seat. This box.
Perfect. Okay, now I'm looking for 3 helpers.
Oh, me.
3 helpers. Oh, I dropped one. All right, we'll do Jessie. We'll do Kimber and Tegan. All right, come up to the front to help me out here. We're going to do one by one. So we said it's gonna sync, right? Okay, Jess, you drop yours in first. Oh, did it sync? Hold on here.
Yes.
Scoot to the side so the whole class can see. It's sunk, right? Let's see if Kimber sinks. Oh, it's sunk again. Do we think it's gonna sync for the 3rd time?
Yeah.
Okay, Tegan, drop yours in. Oh, it's sunk. Were we right?
Yeah.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Round of applause. Pats on the back. Pats on the back. Okay.
I'm definitely gonna go to the
I'm still looking for helpers. Okay. What is the next object in our box?
It's a pen. It's a different.
What's the next object?
Penny.
A paper clip, right?
A paper
Paper
clip.
clip. Let's see if I got paper clips.
I want to do a paper clip.
Oh, I have 4 paper clips. Now I'm looking for 4 helpers.
Jesse, you have your turn.
We'll do Javion.
Where are you going? Wait, look. I don't know.
Jeremiah. We'll do Lucas. Samuel. All right. I need a great single file line right here. First helper, second helper, third helper, fourth helper. Okay, first before we drop it, what do we think it's gonna do? Sync or is it gonna float?
It's actually just my I went first.
Sync or float? What do we think? Float. Okay, so write a big F
No, we didn't.
in that paperclip box.
No. Javion.
Can I get you guys to stand single file over here so we can see the
Don't
tub?
try it if you don't have a turn.
Okay.
You did have a turn, Jesse.
Stand right here.
You did have a turn.
Okay, so we put a big F in that box, right? Okay, Lucas is gonna be the first one to drop our paperclip. It's sunk. Okay, let's see if it's gonna sink again, Jeremiah. Make sure we can see the top. Sunk again, Samuel, go. Sunk again. Oh my gosh. Sunk. Okay, so our paper clip sunk. The boys may go sit down. Thank you, thank you.
I thought it was going to float.
Alyssa. Alyssa. Okay, so our paper clip sunk or did it float? Okay, so in that next box, next to results, you're gonna put sunk.
That's what I just did.
You're gonna put sunk in results.
Pencil is definitely gonna see. Wait, yeah, pencil doesn't sink.
Okay, and everybody mark that in their chart and coming around.
Yeah.
Okay, what is our next object?
Pencil.
Pencil? Okay, I'm looking for helpers.
I want to do a pencil.
Alyssa, would you like to help? Okay, that's your pencil. Who isn't going next, Gemma?
I didn't go. I had
Okay,
I
I need my 3 helpers.
Everybody don't worry.
We've got a lot of opportunities.
Well, we didn't go yet. I know. And you're being a boss of us anyway.
Okay, what do we think the pencil's gonna do? Sink or float? Okay, whatever you think, you're gonna write in that first box.
red ones are you supposed to ride at just now.
Oh no, this is a fun one. We're gonna do
Hey, I
this.
can't
It's
see.
gonna sink or float.
I can't see.
Then write that
I
answer.
can't see. You don't have to see.
If you think the pencil's gonna sink or float, write sink or float in your prediction. Prediction box.
And float. Actually, let me erase that because I am.
Okay, we're gonna stand to the side so you can see the tub.
And so, the whole body sunk.
Okay, Alyssa's gonna be our first pencil dropper.
Oh, so exploded.
All right, let's stand out of the way so we can see our tub. What's the pencil doing? Floating. Okay, let's do number 2.
Yes. Ride it. I don't want to
You can drop it
ride it.
inside us like that. Oh, did it float?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
next
That is right. You don't have to see, guys.
3 out of 3, we floated.
I'm right big as you. Down. I need to be.
So right in that box, F.
I have it gone.
Okay. Our next object is a ping pong ball, but we have these little fluff balls instead. Because I couldn't find ping pong. All right. Okay, stand to the side, please, so we can see the tub. Stand to the side. All right, I need eyes up here, calm bodies. Eyes up here, calm bodies. So sitting down. Wyatt's gonna be the first one to drop it. What do we think it's gonna do? Float. Okay. It's floating.
It's floating.
Floating. Okay, Dakota, drop number 2.